Let's talk about the world's biggest economy, because it affects just about everyone.
The U.S. economy is contracting, but the U.S. is not ready to accept that it is in recession.
US, where economy is heading into a recession, which is short and shallow.
Hello guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, we are talking about why America's economy remains surprisingly strong. But you don't realize it. But before we continue our video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more. Each week brings head-scratching contradictory news about the economy. This past week was no different, with a batch of economic reports showing that, despite the recession talk, the U.S. economy shows remarkable resilience. Yes, the economy is strong, but it comes with a lot of caveats. Gross domestic product grew at a 3.2% annualized rate last quarter, a sharp bounce back from shrinking in the first half of the year. Consumer confidence unexpectedly grew in December. Last month's jobs report defied analysts' expectations, with unemployment remaining at almost a half-century low. And multiple recent inflation reports show prices are starting to cool off. However, these are just ingredients in a murky soup of conflicting yes, but headlines. Yes, consumers say they feel lossy about the economy, but a record 196 million Americans went shopping over the Thanksgiving weekend. And those roaring sales numbers weren't just because inflation has pushed prices higher, but also because people were making more transactions, according to Adobe Analytics. Curtis Dubé, chief economist at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, calls this second-hand pessimism and says the economy might not be doing as poorly as you think. Yes, inflation at near 40-year highs is biting into family budgets, but Americans are booking air travel and heading to Disney parks in near-record numbers, even with higher park prices. Yes, economists are worried about a recession, but the job market is incredibly tight, with more than 10 million open jobs and 1.7 jobs available for anyone who's searching for one or looking to job hop. So what's next? The truth is that no one knows what happens next. Forecasts have been notoriously unreliable in the post-COVID economy. Remember transitory inflation? The Fed has been trying to contain the highest inflation since the 1980s, jacking up interest rates 6 times this year and even rolling out a bumper 3/4-point hike, not once but 4 times in a row. That means the next year will no question be a challenge as all that tightening continues to work its way through the economy. But household finances are in better shape to handle it, with an excess $1.7 trillion in savings as a cushion, although people will likely have to dip into more of their savings. And while the housing market may be cooling, it's not crashing. After a very strong 2021, the sector is readjusting, recalibrating. Bess Friedman, CEO of Brown Harris Stevens, said, "COVID broke the economy and putting it back together has been hard to measure. Tens of millions of jobs were lost overnight. Schools closed, factories shuttered. More than 1 million lives lost. More than 2 years later, we're still struggling to gauge the strength and durability of the recovery." 2 days after the latest interest rate rise, the 7 governors of the Federal Reserve met with some business folk. Any misgivings about the effects of tighter monetary policy would have been quickly dispelled. Kara Walton of Harbor Results, a consultancy, spoke of a plastics processor who hired 14 new employees, only for a mere 3 to show up on their first day, and one of those to quit before lunch. Chidi Kumar, a restaurateur, said her peers were struggling to make rent as food and labor bills mounted. Town Henning of Kashwa, a distribution company, explained his firm was passing costs on to customers. Demand was holding up, he said, thanks to the amount of money floating out there in the economy. Misgivings may, however, have crept back in as the governors watched the markets over the past fortnight. The central bank's goal is to tame inflation, which is running at more than 8% year-on-year, just shy of a 4-decade high. The realization that it is still far from that goal, and that monetary tightening will thus continue, is causing havoc. American stocks have fallen for 3 consecutive quarters, and sharply recently. Bond prices are tumbling, reflecting tremors in the credit markets. The ratcheting up of rates in America is driving the dollar's appreciation, adding to inflationary pressure elsewhere and impelling other central banks to follow the Fed's lead, no matter the state of their economies. On September 30th, Lael Brainard, the Fed's vice chair, called for her fellow governors to proceed deliberately, a word denoting caution in the central bank's argot. She also said the Fed would take its international impact into account. A growing population, including from immigration. America's growing population means a younger and therefore more flexible and trainable workforce. Although there are restrictions on immigration to the United States, there are also special rules that provide access to the U.S. economy and a path for citizenship, green cards, based on individual talent and industrial sponsorship. A separate green card lottery provides a way for eager people to come to the United States. The country's ability to attract immigrants has been an important reason for its prosperity.